Many developers learn front-end, backend and database, but they still confuse how the front-end, backend and database both work together. So in this video, I will explain with example how these things work together. Myself Amit Singh, I have total 12 plus year of industry experience as a full stack developer. If you understand this flow, then you will feel confident in your interview, project and while debugging the code basically. This video is useful if you are a student, a junior developer or someone who is switching their career in the IT industry. Let's start. First, front end. What is the front end? Front end is basically what user can see and interact. For example, button, text box, dashboard, UI. So anything which we can see and interact, that is the front end. The responsibility of front end is like collecting the user input, show the output and calling the API. In Angular, React or any front end application, your job will be show and handle UI. So when we say I'm a front end developer, our job is to create responsive and attractive UI which user can interact basically. Second is backend. You can say that backend is brain of your application. Backend decide what data should show to the user, who can access it, how it should be processed. Backend contains business logic, validation, security, your API endpoints. So there are multiple backend language like .NET, Java, Python, Node. So when you say I'm the backend developer, then you must know one of these language basically. Third is database. Database is where your all data is stored permanently. For example, user information, your purchase order, your appointment, your sale order, everything. Database is responsible for storing the data, updating the data and retrieving the data. Without database, your application will forget everything after refresh. Now let's understand how they work together with an example. So let's take the example of user login. Step first, front end. When user enter user ID and password and click on the login button, front end send request to the backend. Step 2, backend. Backend will receive the request with user ID and password. First, backend will be validate that request, then it will connect to the database. Step 3, database. Based on the user ID and password, database will return the data to the backend. Step 4, backend. So based on the fetch data, backend will again check if the user is active user, if user has the access, and maybe based on the business logic, backend will be generate the token and return to the front end. Step 5, front end. So based on the backend response, if successful login, so show the dashboard. If login is failed, then show the error message. So that is the step 5 responsibility of the front end application. This is how front end, backend and database work together. Now let's take another example, adding new user to the system. So front end application will show the form where end user will enter all the detail of new user and click on the save button. After click on the save button, it will trigger to the API. Backend receive the request with the payload and it will validate the data. Like it will validate if the user name has been given. As per business logic, backend will validate all the record. If all good, then it will connect to the database and save the data. And in the database part, there will be some table, one or multiple table where your data will be stored. And after it stored successfully, then the backend again send the response to the front end that the data is saved successfully. If it is failed, then the error message will be shown again. Now let me simplify it. Front end take input and show output. Backend received request from the front end, validate it, process it, secure it. Database store data and return the data. Let's talk about the actual problem we face in the real projects. So most of the time frontend sends wrong payload to the backend. Backend show the error, data mismatch, environment configuration issue. So these are the common issue we face while developing the application. So understanding this flow will help you to debug faster and become a strong full stack developer. So let's summarize. Frontend is UI which user can see and interact. Backend is your application brain where processing, securing of data, validation happen. And database is where your data is stored permanently. And the flow will be always like frontend will send request to the backend will connect to the database, and then backend receive the database, and then it will show the response to the front-end application. If this video helped you, please like the video, subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.